Doug has a few questions here. Doug says, why isn't Halo's self-titled album on Spotify? Can you go into detail what happened to them? A little history, where are they now? And any chance they will ever be revived in any way? Can't see it being revived in any way because it didn't work the first time. There's no desire to go back and visit that because it wasn't a very happy time. We had some good times, don't get me wrong. Me and the band had some great times, but it was a very unpleasant experience. It's not on Spotify because the record company that we had fell apart. That's another long story, and I'm not going to go into it on this one, but feel free to ask me what happened around Records, but it fell apart during COVID. A lot of things fell apart during COVID, but because we had a label, a business, we weren't allowed to be furloughed. So the only money coming in was from Round Records, and it just didn't work. Hopefully, when I'm saying this, everyone's got the records that they're owed. I don't think I want to go back there. So that's why it's not on Spotify. Maybe we'll do a deal with the label that we're with now and they'll put it on Spotify. Don't know. So yeah, I'm not going to go back to Hey Hello, and that's why it's not on Spotify. Have you listened to CJ's latest stuff? What do you think? What's your relationship like? I think CJ is a good writer. I just don't know why he didn't write when he was in the Wildhearts. He seems to come out with an album every 6 months now. I don't believe he came out with an album's worth of songs in the fucking 30 years that he was in and out of the band. But he just didn't write songs when he was with the band, and now he fucking shits them out every day. Have I listened to any of CJ's latest stuff? I can't listen to it because some of it is really insulting to... I don't even care if he's insulting me, but there's a song that really insults Ben, and he's called it Bent. He hasn't even been subtle about it. But yeah, of course I can't listen to CJ stuff because it's insulting people like me and people in the band. I gather there's a song about Danny. But it's, who the fuck wants to listen to music that's basically calling them a cunt? I don't. I don't know if you enjoyed doing that, if anyone's wrote a song about you being a cunt. But yeah, it's not going to be on my playlist. Oh, I can't wait to listen to that when I'm working out, unless I don't want to work out and I want to get pissed off, and then I probably will listen to it. What's your relationship like? We don't have one. We're just very, very different people. Very, very different people. Do you keep in touch with your ex? You probably don't, do you? It's that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm not interested in hearing his stuff if it's going to be all about me being the fucking biggest cunt in the world. There you go. Have you had any contact or feedback from ex-Wildhearts regarding the latest album? What do they think? Not very keen. Imagine if you get divorced and then the partner goes, you're not allowed to see anyone else, and don't you dare marry anyone else and take the name on. It's just weird. It's like the Wildhearts either didn't want to do this, and Rich and CJ didn't want to do this, and Danny decided that he was going to do other stuff, then take music be the most important thing, and really get his head down and get fit and well and healthy enough to be able to do it. So they all decided that they didn't want to do it. They don't get to decide if I want to do it. It's pretty fucking simple, really. And whatever happens in the future, none of my business. But as far as I'm concerned, it's like, there's no way I'm going to stop being in the Wildhearts. It's my fucking group. It's my name. It's my family's name. But more importantly, they're my songs. And when you lot sing them, you're singing my songs about my experiences to me because they're now your songs. That's the relationship. I am allowed to date other people. I'm allowed to fuck other people. I'm allowed to marry other people. And I'm allowed for them to call themselves fucking my surname. Fuck anyone who doesn't want me to do this. So I gather that their opinion of the Wildhearts isn't very favourable. And honestly, I couldn't give a fuck what their opinion is unless it's well done. It sounds fucking great. You and Ben play fantastic. Love the songs. Unless it's something positive, I couldn't give a fuck what they think about it. Because it is all positive now. And that, it may sound a bit negative, but I'm just all about positivity. And if people got anything bitchy to say, that doesn't even go in the ear. It just bounces off this force field that I've got around my head. That fucking bullshit bounces off. So don't know what their opinions are, but unless they're nice, I don't care. Any more plans to do more solo gigs? No. But you know what? I would like to do one big solo gig, or maybe a few, but like a proper 3-hour set taking in only the solo stuff. And you couldn't take it on tour because it wouldn't work financially. there's not enough interest in it to do a 3-hour set in lots of different places. It just wouldn't work. But I can see it working in like 2 or 3 cities. Don't know where they'll be. Don't even push me on it because I haven't decided if I want to do it or not. But yeah, it's in my head as something that it would be interesting to do, and you know, pick a really interesting band. The whole thing would be probably a money loser. So that's why I don't want to spend too much time and effort thinking about it now. But yeah, there's a lot of music in the solo world that I'm never going to do on stage with the Wildhearts. It's just not going to be the way. So the way I figure it, I'll probably miss playing a lot of them songs and have to do something solo to play them. But yeah, I would do. How did you approach Ben about joining the band? Did you consider any others? Did you reach out to any other ex-band members before deciding on the final lineup? Yeah, well, I've just answered that one. I did. Obviously, I couldn't invite Danny back because I might as well have just fucking put a gun against his head and shot him. I asked Rich and CJ. They both said no. How did I approach Ben? Well, I'd been doing solo shows with Ben. And he started getting up on stage and having a jam. And one day he said, do you want to do Caffeine Bomb? I mean, sometimes the audience was shouting out songs. And if he didn't know the song, he'd play along and he'd know it by the end of the song. And I take note of stuff like that. You know, if people can pick up songs quick, that means a lot to me. But someone shouted Caffeine Bomb and he went, oh, I'll have a go. And he sang all of the words to Caffeine Bomb. And at that point, I'm like, this guy's fucking really good. So when it came to doing the band and CJ didn't want to do it, I just thought, well, it would be more ridiculous to look for someone who isn't Ben. He looks like a Wildheart. He plays like the Wildheart. He gets on with everyone. He's a lovely fucking energy. He's funny as fuck. He'll do anything for anyone. I mean, literally, someone loses a bag, he'll go and pick it up and drive 200 miles to drop it up. I mean, he's that kind of guy. He's fucking absolute salt of the earth, but he's also an insane guitar player and he sings like a fucking angel. No, there wasn't even anyone else in the running. I couldn't even think of anyone that if Ben decided he didn't want to do it, I'd probably just do it myself. I can't think of anyone that could replace him at this point. And this is from Doug, right? How much influence do you know the band members have in the songwriting and production on this album? Not as much as they will have on the next album, but because I'd written a lot of the songs in completion before we went in the studio. But there are a load of bits that the band all chipped in on. Cunts being the main one. That was an absolute co-write. But the whole arrangement of Hurt People was done as a workers unit with really creative people. You know, I mean, we've got ex-cardiacs, we've got people who play with like gong. It was a real popcorn moment. Really great musicians all collaborating. Not as much as I'd like to, but yeah, a lot of the riffy sections we kind of did just get together. You know, you're in the studio with an amazing band when you're actually recording. You're not doing the demos, you're doing the album, and people go like, "Well, should we try this?" And you're like, "That's so ballsy to just do that when the fucking, when the clock's on and the money's flying out the window, and then to nail it first or second take." Oh, I feel like Frank Zappa when that happens. I love it. Love it. And how do you go about selecting support bands? Do you know the guys personally or do you go through some kind of agency? I have to like the band. I mean, basically, I have to like the music. I've been in situations where bands have paid to get on a tour. I personally can't think of anything worse than, apart from bands having to suck someone off to get on the tour, a band having to pay to get on the tour. I pay bands to be on the tour. I've got to like them, but mainly I've got to think that you lot will like them. There's a lot of bands I love that would be pointless getting on Wildhearts tours because you'll all just walk out the room, So it's got to be something that I know, even if it's a bit left field. And we've done a lot of bands that I hope you like it, and you have. And then there's been bands that I thought you would love and you didn't. Like The Darkness that went down terrible. So did Group Dog Drill. They went down terrible. I fucking adored both of those bands. And then, there'd be bands that you just were blown away by that I hope you'd like. Yeah, I've got to like it and I've got to believe that you lot will like it. For me, the show starts when the doors open and it ends when the doors fucking open again. And it's always been like that. It'll always be like that. I believe in putting the best bill in the world. So yeah, I don't go through agencies. So obviously if it's a bigger band, our agent has to speak to their agent, but it's usually me and the singer of the group, or me and whoever does the business for the group. I mean, that's it. We're going to be touring with these people. We have to get on with them as well. So Mark asks, have you enjoyed the recent UK tour, and how many songs do you have prepared for the next album? Whoa. Well, Mark, hey, has anyone spotted any orbs? It's always a good day when the orbs are in, because the orbs love these podcasts. I mean, one of the questions I'm not sure I'm going to get time to answer, because the sands of time are falling and I've got tons of questions here. But one of the questions was, do you enjoy doing this? I love doing this. A, because I get to work from home. It's something that I get to do, and I get to do from home. And B, you love it. But C, the fucking ghosts in the house love it. The only person that isn't fond of these is Maggie, because she doesn't get any attention for an hour. But this orb business, yeah, I think I'm not alone in enjoying these. But I digress, which I have a want to do. Did I enjoy the tour, and how many songs have I got prepared for the next album? I loved the tour. It did exactly what I wanted this tour to do, even more so. I wasn't expecting anyone, and this is being brutally honest with you, I wasn't expecting anyone to say, this is the best I've ever seen the Wildhearts. I wasn't expecting anyone to say this lineup is better than the last lineup. That was the furthest thing from my mind. And I've heard a few people say, this is the best I've ever seen you. Not my words, but very, very happy about that. I loved it. How many songs do I have prepared for the next album? Right, I have 12, because I ran through them this morning. And I'll make a little list like this one of all of the new songs, so I can get to know them. Because at this stage, writing a new album, they're all strangers. And I'm just, trying to get to know them before I teach them to the band and then the strangers again. But man, I've been fucking writing like a demon. Every time I go out walking, I'm connecting to whatever it is, the big thing, whatever you call that big thing, the universe or God or consciousness, or maybe you've got your own word for it. But I connect to it when I'm walking, and I get all these ideas, and some of them are flooring me. There's a couple of times it's brought me to tears. It's been so powerful. But there you go. I have 12 songs. The band are going to come here April 7th for a writing session, probably about a week or something. And so we'll have at least 12 songs. But I got an idea that we'll have 15 or 16 songs come recording of the album. But we'll have 12 songs to go and, get work on. And I'm really, really glad of them. It's funny when you write an album, because there's some that go on the A list, or they're going to work. And most of them do. And then there's the B list, where you go, with a good wind and a good stout stick, this could work, but that's up to the band and the producer. And then you've got some on a bless 'em list that you've got no idea if they're going to work or not. And they're the ones that end up being some of my favourites. But they're the ugly ducklings. And I've been working on a few ugly ducklings, and I was working on one today. And I love this process, that at this stage of the whole process, because I don't know. I've known for ages. I've been writing the songs and blah blah blah, and then I'm going through them and going, I honestly don't know how these ones are gonna work out. So really exciting, really exciting. I'm just in love with the whole thing, the music and musicians, production. Can't wait to get back in the studio with Jim Pinder and Carl Bown. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And the next album is fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's going to be every bit as good as this one, but a little bit. I'm not going to go into it because we haven't done the cycle for this one yet, but you're going to fucking love it. I guarantee it. Andy D asks, was the smashing up of the Kerrang offices staged? And who sings the Jolly Ditty at the end of 29 Times the Pain? Rich. The Duck song. I was Rich. One of the ridiculous songs that he had when he was a kid. Of the downtime, all the sort of weird stuff happens. I used to live with Rich at one point, so we had more ridiculous stuff on each other, and he'd tell me these songs that he was singing, and that was one of them, and I loved it. I love that none of the lines rhyme. I just loved that. Was the smashing up of the Kerrang offices staged? No, Andy D, it wasn't. We were in the studio. It was just at a time where we were just pissed off. We were pissed off most of the time, but they were pissed off because things probably weren't going very well with the label or whatever, management or something, and we were just at that point where I wouldn't have wanted to fuck with the Wildhearts. It would have been a ridiculous thing for anyone to fuck with us, and most people knew not to fuck with us. We had these bodyguards came in one day. I think it was P Diddy, or R Kelly, or one of them was in the same studio as us, and they said, we want all the other bands to not be anywhere near the foyer and to not make eye contact with the artist if they do see him. And we were at this point in the Wildhearts, we were just like, we fucking camped out in the foyer, and we were staring at any fucking, we didn't know what P Diddy or R Kelly looked like, so any fucking guy that looked like a rapper, we were just fucking eyeballing him. Go on, just someone start something. And Kerrang did. They put this story in that said I'd barred the band from the studio, and the only thing we had at the time was the band, was the link that we had. We seemed to be us against the world, and that was it. That was the red flag. All we needed to, no staging whatsoever. We got the story, and within, an hour of going, the fucking wankers. And they could have got in touch with us. We had a reasonable relationship with Kerrang, and they could have got in touch with us and said, is this true? But they put it down as news when it wasn't. It was gossip, or bullshit, as I like to call it. Within the hour, we were there. I thought it was the old offices, but they'd just moved round the corner. So we went to the old offices, which you could go through the doors. And they went, oh no, they've moved around the corner. So we went around the corner, and it was all security locked. We're like, fuck. And, I didn't want the bravado to die. And there was a good chance that we would have just went to the pub and just drank it off and just, fuck it. But we were at the door, and before we started braying on the door, Paul Rees, who was working there, went on to be the editor of Q and all these big things. Paul Rees was still a T-boy at the time. Just opened the door and just went, oh, hello, lads, come in. I couldn't believe it. So we just charged up those stairs, and mayhem commenced. None of it was staged. I don't even remember paying the bill for all of the mayhem and the damage that we caused. But I remember just getting tons of coverage, even from Kerrang, loads of coverage. So it was really worth doing. I wouldn't recommend that anyone does it now, because I'm sure that people are a bit more litigious, and you'd end up being fucked in prison if you tried that now. But yeah, none of it was staged, absolutely none of it. And I can't say I'm happy about it, but I'm a bit proud that we stood up for ourselves, because I was brought up in an age where the Stranglers would do that. If someone wrote a bad review, the Stranglers would bundle them in a van and drive them off somewhere for a good kicking. And, again, hey, if you're going to be in the war, expect to get fucking damaged, If you're going to write shit about a band and you're a journalist, expect the fucking band to give you a clout. That's the way I see it anyway, or at least used to see it. I'm a little bit calmer now. Anger's still in there. I believe that every man should have a beast, and you keep that beast under wraps and under control. But, I used to just let my anger out. And anyone who deserved it, I believed, warranted it. Stephen asks, whose voice was it at the end of SIN? Was it Mark Keds? On the topic of Mark Keds, was he a good fit during his short tenure? Good question. Whose voice was at the end of SIN? I think it's one of those, round about the time, this back when cassettes were the big thing. And so there was cassettes that people had been spreading around since the 70s. There'd be cassettes of just ridiculous things. And I used to think, like, well, who is it? And no one would know. And this cassette had been doing the rounds. So I used to just say to the record company, we've done this thing. Well, we're going to put on the end of our thing. It could have been someone famous, and they could have got fucked. But it was just one of the things, one of these little sketches or daft things on these cassettes that used to do the round. Every time you'd go on tour, the crew members would pass these cassettes round, and there was always brilliant stuff. But the voice at the end of SIN, I don't know what it is. I can't remember what it is. I think it's the... Anyway, it's one of these things from a tape. I don't know which one it is. On the topic of Mark Keds, was he a good fit during his short tenure? In certain ways, yes, and in certain ways, no. Mark Keds was a great fit when it came to hanging out. At the time, he hadn't developed any really serious habits. He just liked getting fucked up, and we liked getting fucked up. And boy, did we get fucked up. And it was great fun. We believed in tying one on whatever that meant. And for however long the session lasted, he would be there right by your side. And I loved him for that. And to be honest, we parted with Mark Keds before we got to hear him play. I liked him. He looked great. I just figured that this guy is perfect. And so many people, we've been looking for a guitarist for ages. And so many people were going like, Mark Keds. I think he was always involved with the census things. And then they broke up and he was available. And we're like, yep, you're already in. You're our Ronnie Wood. Come and join the band. I think he thought so as well until it came to start playing. And like I said earlier, you can get two good guitar players, but it might not gel. And me and Mark Keds just didn't gel at all. It was like, friction against each other. And also, his style was great. And what he played in his own stuff was great. It was obvious when we started playing, there was no way he was going to be able to learn the really long Wildheart songs. And let's just leave it at that because he's not here with us anymore, R.I.P. We had a great time with him. We didn't even fall out with him as bad as the press and subsequently the fans made it out that we fell apart. He realised it wasn't the band for him. Be like, Paul McCartney joining Metallica. It's never going to work. For all of the will in the world, it's never going to work. I think we both knew it had no future, and we didn't really fall out. It was a good thing that we just went that way and that way. But I've got nothing but fond memories of Mark, and it's really sad what happened. And I really miss him. I loved hanging out with him, and he had great taste in music as well. We talk about great bands that we liked. He introduced me to some great bands. He introduced me to the Jayhawks. First time we ever met, he went, I just fancied listening to some country, and there's a new Jayhawks album just come out, and it was Tomorrow the Greengrass, and he put it on. First track, Blue. Oh my God. And I was just like, this guy's fucking perfect. So I'm going to remember Mark Keds as being this beautiful, physically and spiritually, this beautiful cat who fucking wormed his way into my heart instantly. We had great times together, and, he didn't stick around long enough. Drugs are bad, kids. And if you're going to do them, don't do fucking heroin because it just kills people and it's a fucking rubbish one. Anyway, on that note, do stay with us. It's fucking beautiful to have you around. I really enjoyed the live thing the other day. So I'm really enjoying these. The Orbs are really enjoying these. Maggie hates them, but she gets a good fuss now. Thank you so much for your patronage and your patience and your loveliness. See you later.